This tutorial is to show you how to make this gorgeous ruffle hair bow. You will need some grosgrain or satin ribbon. I'm using grosgrain in 1.5 inch wide or 2.5 centimeters wide, and you will need to cut 2 pieces to 46 centimeters in length or just over 18 inches. I use a good pair of fabric scissors to cut my ribbon. I use these Fiskars razor edge scissors. Everything I use in this video I will link in the description below. Next, taking a lighter, you need to heat seal the ends of your ribbon. This is to prevent any fraying and also get rid of any existing frays. So do that on all of your raw ends. And then taking a needle and some extra strong thread. I use this one here. Again, it will be linked in the description below. I've threaded it and I've already popped a nice thick knot in the end. I have got a video on my channel showing how to do that with ease. Taking one of your pieces of ribbon, you want to start by going in through the top toward the bottom for the first stitch, and then just thread in and out, leaving around 1 centimeter in between each stitch. So just coming out from the bottom, back in through the top, out through the bottom, and then back in through the top. Keep doing that all the way across one side of your ribbon. You want to keep the stitches about 1 centimeter apart and about 2 millimeters away from that edge. So far it should look something like this. Keep going till you get to the end, and when you get to the end, make sure the last stitch is coming out through the bottom toward the top. As you can see here, I'm at the end and I'm coming out through the bottom toward the top, so I'm going to pull that needle all the way through now. Just making sure I've got enough thread to continue on my second piece of ribbon. So don't cut the thread, pick up the second piece of ribbon, and we're going to do that all over again. So as we did before, we're going to go in through the top towards the bottom for the first stitch, about 2 millimeters away from the edge, and keep those stitches about 1 centimeter apart. So I've skipped to the end of that second piece because we did exactly the same. So when you've got your 2 pieces, lay them next to each other so that the stitching is joined in the middle and they're both facing the same way. As you can see, I had to stretch mine out a bit so I could see where I was. So I've got them laid out, and then I'm going to start pulling on that thread, and this will draw it all up, make those ruffles and create this sort of circle shape, which is what you want. Once you've got it lovely and tight, you want to keep your thumb and finger there just to hold it in place, and then we're going to do a couple of stitches on that last edge. I'll just try to bring it closer to the camera so you can see. So I'm keeping it pulled nice and tight whilst I go in that last edge a couple of times, and then on the last go in, I'm going to go in through that loose loop a couple of times to form a knot to hold that all in place. And then using my scissors, I'm going to trim off the excess thread. I've got my hot glue gun warming up now, so I'm going to pick up my bow, make sure I can see where those 2 halves are. So you've got one end which is sort of joined and the other end you'll find is still loose. We're going to take the 2 raw edges on one half and we're going to glue those together. So this is going to be on the underside of the bow, so you won't see this join. So I'm just lightly applying a thin bead of hot glue along that raw edge, and then I'm going to bring the other side together to join those up. So these 2 raw edges are from one whole half of the bow, and then we're going to turn it around and join the other 2 halves together, of which I will just speed this part up because you've already seen me do one side. I don't want to bore you. We still need to join the middle of the bow together. So as you remember, we carried on stitching with one continuous stitch, but that left one half of the center sort of free. So on that loose side on the centre, place a bit of glue and bring the centre of the bow completely together to close up that middle. So I'm going to attach my bow to a 45mm double prong hair clip. These are the ones I prefer to use. Again, they're all linked in the description below. On the underside of my bow, where those joins are, I'm going to stick my clip across there to cover those joins mostly. It doesn't matter anyway because they're on the underside. And then I've cut off another around sort of 10 centimetre length of that 1 centimetre wide ribbon, and this is to wrap the centre. Before I do that, I want to attach this Hot Fix rhinestone trim to the middle. This lovely gold and silver tone would look really nice with that ivory sort of cream coloured ribbon. So again, using those lovely sharp Fiskars fabric scissors, I'm going to cut around sort of 1.5 inches off there to wrap the centre. and I'm going to attach this to my centre strip using my hair straighteners. So I've turned my straighteners on. They've only been on for a minute or so. I don't want them to get too hot, so I'm going to go straight in and clamp over where that rhinestone is going to be attached to my centre strip. I like to concentrate on those edge pieces just to make sure it's well stuck down, but these hot fix gems, they do really stick well, so much better than using just glue-on ones. Leave that to completely cool down before sticking it on your bow, and then when you're ready, place hot glue underneath where that rhinestone trim is first of all. And then on the top side of that bow, make sure you keep the ribbon out of the way, lay it nice and central on that bow, and start to bring it around the middle, nice and snug. And then on the underside, as you can see, we have got this ribbon too long, so I will have to trim that down. Just make sure you've got no ribbon stuck underneath that centre piece, and then trim off any excess ribbon. You will have to heat seal those raw edges, and then we can finish off hot gluing those ends underneath the clip. And then we're almost ready for the final reveal. When you first turn your bow over, you will have to give it a little fluff just to get those ruffles looking exactly how you want them. And there she is in all her glory. Isn't she stunning? I absolutely love this style. I hope you enjoyed this tutorial today. If you did, please hit the like button. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel. And if you press the bell button, that will turn on notifications. I'll see you again soon. Bye.